Hello, and today we'll be playing the newest update of Devil's Gambit. This came out 3 or 4 days ago. So Hector decided to, I believe he decided to accept the demon's offer, but he did go out with a demon, and the demon, Kai, did a lot of sexual stuff to him. So and he did get to talk to Cardigan for a little bit, and it was kind of awkward between the two of them. Though they did seem to be on good terms still, despite Hector revealing his feelings for Cardigan to him. And unbeknown to Hector, Cardigan knew for a while, practically since he came back, that Hector was into him. Cardigan knew about Hector having feelings for him, so we're gonna go ahead and continue now with a new update. A lion named Cecilio del Porto proposed last century this theory about demons. Even if academics still debate how souls come to be, their existence is generally agreed upon. A soul is, according to Karina, a being's perfect form, the ideal reached by fitting all 5 layers of their imbalances. Perhaps you could think of it as a blueprint for a healthy living being, or if you fancy a more romantic interpretation, a goal to strive for. Another thing that is agreed upon is that souls only exist as they do because they are part of the system called nature, or God, as Cecilio put it. I can almost see that lion, pen in hand, in a crimson velvet office of the royal bureaucracy, overlooking a plaza crowded with people watching as justice is meted out. The chair he sits on, and the wide table as well, are made of hardwood with great leather, cushioning decorated with gold leaf. He looks up from his notebook, tapping the quill in his hand, wondering, what happens to the soul upon being acquired by a demon? What does it mean to turn your back on God and seek an outside power? But Cecilio wasn't a researcher, he was a natural philosopher. He wrote 17 books about the states of claws, nails, and teeth across the animal world, who dabbled in some political theory. He was a staunch defender of the monarchy's divine right to rule. Whether he became their friend because of his beliefs or had those beliefs as a consequence of enjoying their benefits, that's another story. It is any surprise that, with next to no evidence, he stated the soul is destroyed upon forming a deal and used to create a new demon. It would then possess the original body, put it to further its master's goals. This idea was at the core of his reasoning. It even had a name, the Postulado del Porto, and from that central thought, he went on to write 17 more books about religion, inquisition, and politics. He later added that this didn't mean death, as dregs unfit for the creation of the new demon would remain immaterial, yet in perpetual suffering. I suppose even his benefactors found the prospect too grim, considering later yet he suggested a soul could be restored and put to rest. All it took was purifying the resulting demon by burning it at the stake. What a relief. But this is all hogwash, isn't it? I don't feel any different, and I certainly don't think my idealized layers were perverted into a demon that now inhibits my body. I'll wager Cecilio never considered a demon might be more interested in his butt than his soul. But it's all I can think about as I stare at my food. I'm hungry, yet my stomach tightens up at the thought of taking another bite. Kagan clears his throat. His eyes reflect my worry back at me. You barely touched your salami, Hector. You barely touched your salami, Hector. He nudges the food bowl close to me. Do you have a stomach ache? Some food will do you good. You can have mine. Thank you. Do you want the rest of this? I offer the wolf the salami. Kagan looks at it, and then at me, somewhat bewildered. He takes it and then places it on the table. I force myself to keep eating. You might have second thoughts about your deal with the demon, as you well should, but you still need to eat, Hector. You need the energy. The people who deny your patience rely on you. Oblon depends on you. But can they depend on someone who traded his soul to a demon? For how long? They can depend on you for as long as you can brew an elixir and hold a scalpel, and that you can still do. You're still useful, and once you aren't, it won't matter anymore. That's not enough. But if that's not enough, then do it for Kagan. He's still your friend, and you care about him. So be good now, and don't let him know what you're feeling. Hey, Kagan, what were you up to last night? You didn't stop by for dinner. Why, I passed by Teresa's place and she held me until dinner. How was he? How odd we didn't run into her during the festival, come to think of it. Kagan takes a salami again and takes a chunky bite. His gaze trails off to the wall. Angry, she couldn't attend because she was recovering from giving birth. Her husband told the older kids out. Her husband took the older kids out to play, too. So she spared the night home with only the baby and the police for company. I suppose it makes sense he come out of the forest to help with the childbirth. I meant the police from the town's square shrine. I still sworn that shrine was abandoned. I haven't seen a single soul go in or out except for when they were preparing for the festival. Perhaps people here don't seek spiritual guidance often, or I'm too scatterbrained. Anyway, now she wants to do something to make up for the lost time, in her words. And that will be a birthday party. Ah, for who? Her kids? The wolf lets out a hesitant sigh before he continues. No, for me. I hit my forehead with the palm of my head. Why, I had forgotten. We never had a chance to celebrate it while at Leopoldino's mansion, so it completely slipped my mind. Our visits just didn't line up right. His face doesn't show it, but from how he talks, Kagan isn't thrilled by the idea. I don't enjoy making a big deal of my birthday either, so I understand. The times Aunt Nora organized a party was just awkward. It never felt right to have so many unfamiliar faces or people I only interacted with casually paying so much attention to me. I much preferred the years when she was too busy to do anything. It would take me to eat something fancy in the city to make up for the latter. I'm thinking of telling Kagan this one time she took me to some of these exotic mushrooms when suddenly there's a slam followed by a clattering chair behind us. A brown wolf had suddenly stood up, hitting the table, and pushed his chair back. He shouts at the man sitting across from him, a wolf with lighter fur, a few scars here and there, and a stern gaze to match. Rage contorts his body with every word. Needs carries spit and a not-so-subtle scent of alcohol. This again, I whisper. You know them? The big one is Alistair, and the one shouting is Fergus. They are. My Kagan's words trail off when Alistair gets up and puts his chest against Fergus's. He looks down at the smaller wolf, uttering something I don't catch. Fergus then flies into a frenzy. He's just about to pounce on the other man when Kagan catches him by the shoulder and throws him back. I can't help but cover my mouth as he lands on his back and hits his head on a table leg. He's quick to get back on his feet, however, just a little wobbler than before. Kagan, shit. Here comes the Duke's bitch. Kagan looks back at the taller wolf. Do you want to say that to my face? But he doesn't have time to worry about Alistar's provocation. Now with Fergus watching, as if looking for an opening to attack. You know what? This is fine. I've been waiting to beat that smug expression off your face. Thinking can give orders now because he's got some lion armor. Try it. I'll leave you looking like they just dug you out of some ditch in the valley. The silence weighs over the entire tavern. All eyes are on their bare fangs, every whiz along their snout and on Fergus's grasping hands. Everything is locked in a standoff that lasts a few breaths, yet feels like hours. That is until Fergus growls, lowering his shoulders and arms as though he doesn't care anymore. Fine, whatever, it's not worth it. The Great Lake Games are a few months away. Do me a favor, spend that time training instead of getting drunk. The wolf snarls one last time before storming off. Alistar looks on, with a rage akin to sizzling oil or a pan, harmless if undisturbed, yet spiteful enough to announce its presence. And it's all directed at Kagan, not a departing wolf. What? Have more to say? Since you're so interested in the competition, why don't you join? Or will you do the same as every year? Just stand aside and watch like you're better than us or something. I'll patrol the town, same as last year, because someone has to. Figures, you give me that look, you don't care about anything. You could be so much more, an actual leader, not some placid watchman on the lion's payroll, pretending to look for devils with that inbred lunatic. Hell, you could get any partner you wanted. He grabs his own crotch and raises his voice. If you only had the balls. That's none of your business. This conversation is over. Alistar clicks his tongue and after scanning the tavern one more time walks out. Kagan watches him go and then returns to the table. Little by little the murmur of the other patrons replaces the silence. Kagan looks back at me, ears down. He almost looks pitiful. Sorry. What was that? It's the season. Everyone's on edge unless they let it out somehow. Petty squabbles break out and turn to fights. Those who usually compete in the Great Lake Games, most men do, but Alistar and Fergus have been taking it too far lately. They never got this bad before. Must be the stress from the expedition getting to them. But right before I can speak, Arwell approaches our table with a teary expression. Oh, Kagan, I can't thank you enough. I felt something was off when Fergus finished his drink and headed to Alistar's table, but I didn't think it would escalate so quickly. I'd rather you don't serve them beer again. Not until after the competition's over, at least. Of course, I. Oh well. The dragon freezes in place. Is it the tone of my voice or the fact I cut in at all that did it? I don't care. We're in the middle of something. Oh, of course, friend. Apologies. With a second bow, the dragon retreats behind the bar. Kagan gives me a curious look. What's wrong? What, indeed? I'm still processing what just happened, so I'm not sure where to start. I scratch my head and take a deep breath. What was their problem? Aren't you bothered? Kagan's ears flicker as he tilts his head. One moment they are at each other's throats, the next they forget all about that and turn on you. I did get in the way. I know, but they weren't angry at you just because of that, right? And it was so sudden. I set my head, having trouble finding the right words. They began throwing all this resentment and expectations your way. It was so weird. They didn't mean what they said. They were just excited and saying anything to get a rise out of me. And Fergus was bluffing. He's all bark and no bite around me. I guess it might bother them that the Duke appointed me peacekeeper. I'm not satisfied with that answer, but Kagan seems genuinely lost, so I dropped the subject. Maybe I'm being overprotective. It's just the same. This morning had been going so much better than the last until now. Once we quiet down, Orwell approaches us again to apologize for the previous interruption and to reward Kagan with an extra salami, as well as to make some chit-chat. Friend, are you headed to the shrine today? I'm planning to after work, yes. Though I suppose it's a bit late now that I've accepted Wildskai's deal, but is it Hector? The demon has sunk his claws into you. Learning more about him is more important than ever. The shrine? Yes, the one in the forest. What are you going there for? I'm curious about Wanai's history is all. Now that you mention it, I've been meaning to go there. Got a delivery to do? Kagan looks down to the salami Orwell brought him. He grinds his teeth as if searching for something inside his mouth. For just a moment, he looks more like a pup than a grown man he is. I was meaning to spend some time there with the priest. Then Kagan mentioned he used to work at the shrine. You can join me if you want. His face goes wizard again. For once I can tell he's forcing it. Yes, I can. I'll pass by your place this afternoon. Sounds good? The wolf nods and goes back to finishing his food. I need to hurry, too. It's almost time to go. By the time I pass by Kagan's sack, a dust closer to blue than orange rose over town. In the forest's birds are singing their last song for the day. I'm worried it might be too late, but Kagan's reassures me it's all right. He's carrying a big cloth sack, smelling faintly of good, freshly butchered meat. Is that an offering to the priest? No. I was thinking of having dinner at the shrine tonight. My cooking doesn't measure up to Orwell's, but you don't mind, right? I'm curious about your cooking now, actually. We walk to the path that leads to the Duke's mansion, and from there we take a turn right into the woods. Kagan looks distracted on the way to the shrine. Perhaps he's thinking about the police or planning on dinner. I'm not any better. There's too much balance around in my head. The walk gives me a bit of peace from all the doubt and uncertainty. My senses one by one rise to the front. From the forest rings the last of the day's bird song, becoming fainter with the growing shadows. The moon has already revealed itself, a soft pink thing hanging above the tree line. As I breathe in, I notice the river scents, the flowing waters, the damp soil and wet clay, the soft earth compacting slightly beneath my feet. I even catch a distant and faded scent of the valley. We've been walking for a good 10 minutes, and just as I notice a building beyond the trees to the right, I catch Kagan stopping dead on his tracks and staring in the opposite direction at a tree with two swings on it. There's nothing remarkable about it. One is big enough for a child or young teen, while the other is sturdier, wider for an adult. Kagan's ears fall back. Then his gaze goes up to the branches hanging over the path ahead. With a dimming light, it takes me a moment, but I just barely make out what he's looking at. Frogs. A dozen or so carved wood frogs perched above, looking down at us with little smiles, green moss growing on top of them. There's something you should know. Up ahead, just before the path bends right to the building, I catch two knee-high wood statues, a pair of wolves watching us, where one ends the other begins, if they had been carved from the same block of wood to fit together. One slender, and with a positively radiant smile reaching up to her eyes, she's clasping her hands over her chest, fingers tense, as if about to burst into an open-hearted hug. The other statue's arms reach back to the woman's waist, hugging her close. He raises his free arm, waving at us. He smiles. He too smiles, but with pride. They both seem at peace. Unlike my father, unlike Kaga and I. He looks at the swing, the forest, the statues waiting for us, and that's where his gaze remains. The priest is called Ernan, and he croaks as if he was struggling to breathe again. After a moment, he regains his composure, and with his voice a tad more monotone, enunciating every word carefully, he continues. He took me in after I left the Duke's mansion. He protected and cared for me. His hands spasm, fingers curl, when no one else would. This is where I grew up after you left, and Ernan means a lot to me. Do you understand, Captor? He relaxes the saddle of that coffin fades. The sun shines its last rays with renewed vigor. Ernan means a lot to me. Do you understand? And now as a bird song far in the distance stops, the sun drops below the tree line and the sky darkens. Is something wrong? Yes. His voice loses the monotone edge. It's odd having you here, is all. Kagan points to the old stone building ahead. Let's go, that's the place. The shrine's a stone tower reminiscent of the ruins outside the city, except for the fact it's mostly intact. Wooden shutters seal the windows. Charms made of feathers, sticks, and strings hang from some of them. There's a half circle of stones in front of the shrine, clutching what I can only assume used to be a woven sigil before the wind and the forces. Residents trample all over it. There's a shallow hole in its center. Not too far away is a much smaller sack. It is almost out of place. And all over the area there are more wood carvings of wolves, but none are as big or detailed as the two we saw first. Kagan goes to the door, careful to not step on the stones, and knocks 3 times with his heavy mitt of a hand. After a minute he knocks again, 3 times in the same cadence. Could he have gone out? He must be taking a nap. After a moment, Kagan twists the knob, and the door opens. He's about to walk in when suddenly he greets resistance from the other side and notices an eye peeking at us from the gap. Kagan, little snowball, my child, the darkness of my eye. He focuses on me next, and I'm taken aback. And this one, a badger. He's Hector, remember? I told you about him. Right. That you did. More times than the valley has grown teeth. The valley what? Don't worry about it. Well, what are you waiting for? Come in. We walk into our dark room with a stinking smell of burned herbs. Is it a bad time? Did we catch you in the middle of your meditation? It's never a bad time for you, my child. My prayers can wait. As the priest goes around opening the windows, light flap. As the priest goes around opening the windows, light fills the chamber and reveals here and there cells with incense, flowers organized in flasks by color and tools such as knives, needles, and shovels. There's a work table with bowls, pestles, and some rudimentary tools I can't identify. I don't see any brewing equipment though. On the opposite side of the door there's an altar with burning incense, and on the wall behind it, painted in red, is that symbol again, the 2 planets. Other than that, there's a small table in the center, the kind you need to sit down on the floor to use. 2 bedrolls. Underneath it, a stack of books in one corner, a spear, and some other stuff resting against the same wall, a pot and some firewood. The priest clears his throat and sits down at the table. Kagan signals me to join him first. I'm grateful that Kagan is here with me today because the oval's glare hasn't grown any less intense. In fact, it only feels as if he's dissecting me more and more. Does he have some issues with me? Hector, this is Ernan. Like I told you, you took me in after I returned from the Duke's mansion 9 years ago. I swallowed my apprehensive smile. His eyes never yet more. His lips jerked back, almost showing his fangs. Nice to meet you, sir. What should I call you? That's fine. So you hit the boy from 9 years ago? Sort of than I imagined. He squints, searching for something much more gelatinous, too. Did the walk here tire you out? Do you need water? Ouch. Thank you, but no. You look sort of like Bear. He's got just a little less belly than you, but a lot more stamina. Do you hear, my child? He's joined the games this year. He's a beast, that boy. I heard, yes. I hear he's hoping to get himself a sweetheart. Awkward. Didn't you come here to ask him about the Valley Hector? Oh, but is it a good idea to bring it up next to Kaigan? Why wouldn't it be? Don't overthink it, just... So, what you doing now? You're a doctor, right? Huh? Yes, indeed. Another moth drawn by the Duke's gold, and typical. Aaron shakes his head. You know, I have the feeling you don't like me. It can be difficult, forgive him. Kaigan gives the priest a meaningful look. Yes, sir. You play nice too, alright? Kaigan lays a hand on the priest's forearm and looks him in the eye. Aaron ever so slightly softens as he peers into Kaigan's gaze. He stares at something. There's still stubbornness in him, but he relents. If that's what you wish, my son. But I ought to ask, what brings you here, Badger? Did Kaigan want to introduce us? No, I wanted to ask you about the town's history, actually. It's just happened that Kaigan was meaning to come here today as well. Yeah, all the tales about demons and whatnot caught your attention, haven't they? Just go ask the locals. I doubt they've one our stories to tell you. I want the actual story, not the hearsay. Badger and Renai, there's no distinction between history and the so-called hearsay. We worship demons and through fearsome rites summon them to our world. They once wanted among us, and to them we pay great tribute. They were most honored among our kind. We don't keep our past secret. We are what we are, and always were. But there are stories not even the townsfolk remembers. They speak more of fairy tales than the history of Renai. The police scoffs. You're asking a lot. You won't tell us so, right? Right, Hector? Right. Ian taps at the table with 4 fingers, making a face as though he's chewing something hard. He's not convinced. Kaigan lowers his ears. I don't quite know how the weak expresses, but it's almost as if he's holding back a whimper. I feel lost as well. There's a history between them I'm not aware of. I reckon that's what's going through Kaigan's mind now. Sir, Dad, I trust him. You can trust him. Annan's ear, just one perks when Kaigan calls him Dad. His fingers relax, and after a dramatic delay, a smile forms in the corner of his mouth. You've always said he's more obedient than a pup, my son. Hope your leash is still as tight as ever. I whisper at Kaigan. What else did you tell him? That we used to read together, and you were a resourceful guy, and he looks away, closes his eyes for a second, brow forward as though digging for a memory. I told him I punched you, but that only made you want to hang out more, that you had a good sense of smell. So you made a nice pillow. You painted him an interesting picture, I see. Arden grunts as he gets up, and then raises his arms high up. Every vertebra of his spine snapping back into place. Yes, I've been hearing all about you, your nose for 9 years. Enough about that. What do you have there, my child? Meat? Do you hunt it? My hunting skills are rusty, so I got it from the market. That's all. I'd ought to take you to the forest one of these days. Then can't have my former apprentice forget how to live off the earth. He walks a while with a spear and pulls an old unstrung bow. Badger, see this? This bow. The wood comes from a tree in the Eye Valley, which I felled with an axe of my making. I carved it into this shape and taught by my father The string I wove with the same tree's fibers, adding strands of my fur for good luck and safety. This is my son's training bow. With it, I taught Kagan to hunt, and when he outgrew it, I made him another. Kagan shrinks. I swear I never seen him so small, not even as a kid. It's a great bow. Thank you, Dad. It is a bow with a valley. It will never fail a skilled hunter such as yourself. That limber wood and its string carry the strength of demons. We must hunt again, my child. It will do you much good. Anyway, I'll go pick up some tips for you, Badger. Little Snowball, help yourself to the berries and spices that are in the usual place. Thank you. Want to help in setting of the pot in the fire, Hector? I should start cooking before it gets dark. Sure. I like to think I'm most humble, whether it is applying an ointment, stitching up wounds, fixing up bones, or brewing complex elixirs. Each work well done, each life saved is followed by a sense of accomplishment. That's all I need. If it wasn't because gold is vital as one's blood, it would be all I take too. I never seek gratitude or appreciation. It's nice when I get them, but that's all. Still, if there's an aspect of herbalism I believe it's often overlooked, it would be how much persistence it takes. For instance, the venom I treated yesterday. Even if you have the correct ingredients in the proper amounts, it means little if you fumble the brewing process. How hot does the flame have to be? For how long do you have to brew? Some elixirs are ineffective once they go cold and vice versa. When using many ingredients, mixing them in the incorrect temperature can lead to undesirable reactions. Not to mention that further adjustments might be needed depending on the patient species. I believe I once told Kagan that brewing elixirs is like cooking, but more complex. See him sit by the pot getting ready to cook has me questioning that statement. Kagan, are those measuring cups? That's right, do you like them? He holds them out to me as though they are a piece of manual art he's proud of. Aaron made them for me a couple years back, where he taught me how to cook. I use this one to measure the spices, and this one for liquids. I get a feeling of how much meat I'm preparing and make just the right amount of sauce. So I'll follow this. Yes. I believe I once told Kagan that brewing elixirs is like cooking, but more complex. See him spit. I believe I once told Kagan that brewing elixirs is like cooking, but more complex. Seeing him sit by the pot, getting ready to cook, has me questioning that statement. Kagan, are those measuring cups? That's right. Do you like them? He holds them out to me as though they are a piece of manual art he's proud of. Aaron made them for me a few years back, where he taught me how to cook. I use this one to mix the spices and this one for liquids. I get a feeling of how much meat I'm preparing and make just the right amount of sauce. And what's that? He puts the cups down to show me the other thing. A sound clock, nifty, eh? We wouldn't want the meat to get charred. Maybe I still have pushed harder for him to get into herbalism when he was young. Hell, maybe he'd start making elixirs on his own if you locked him up in a room with a brewer and a recipe book. Looking at it the other way around, I wonder if I'd enjoy cooking it if I actually put effort to it. The most I do is cut the meat as it is or boil mushrooms, but there's no time to ponder the thought, not with Aaron calling me. I go around the shrine until I see him standing in the sack's door. Help me move these books, will you? This would be enough to get you started. I'll be with Kada. Only call me if you have an actual question. Yeah, I thought you were going to tell me about the valley. I could, but it's better if you see it for yourself if you're so interested. Now, me and my boy have some catching up to do. Actually, before you go, I know you took Kagan in after you returned to Wanai, but do you happen to be relatives? You two seem very close in a more personal way than a teacher and his former student. We don't share blood, no, but I was the midwife when he was born. My first stain with his mother's blood from his first scream. I was there. I raised my eyebrows slightly. Male midwives aren't anything unheard of, but they are still quite rare. It's also quite Wanaian. I didn't know. Thank you for looking after him all this time. I had been worried about him returning to Wanai all alone, but it turns out he had some family left after all. The old wolf scoffed before leaving. The leather covers are plain, identical. There are some signs of wear, but they don't look that bad. The slightest hint of Cimberwell fragrance clings to them. Cute as those flowers don't grow in Wanai. Irwin must have brought them from somewhere else to kill any bugs that get into their sack. No point in meandering further. I pick a random book from the collection and open it. Unknown Scout, Unknown Kingdom, 600 years ago, Estimir. After the village faded behind us, we kept walking until we saw it. Just beyond the forest, a chasm high down among the mountains, more like a basin than a valley. From where we stood at the edge of the forest, we saw towering structures rise above the already towering trees. The local savages called this place the Eye Valley, a cursed land fabled to house demons. In His Majesty's name, we shall exterminate them. But first we must find footing in this strange land. We will secure a source of food and water post haste. We settled near a stream flowing down from the mountains. Walking downstream might be the easiest path to the valley's depths. The primary concern thus far is that this might leave us in a predictable position for the demons. Let them come, I say. Whatever underhanded tactics and evil magic they have in store might still will cut them. This morning we found a most peculiar sight, a horned creature with horns like I had never seen before, eating those purple vines we found here and there. It stared back at us with its many eyes. Naturally, we thought it a demon in disguise, or at least some sort of familiar. So we cornered and killed it. However, it defended itself using only its legs and horns, and it bled out like any other beast. Whatever corrupted this creature into such an unnatural shape, how could it truly have been alive? Ever since our encounter with that twisted beast, the group has grown restless. There are concerns regarding its condition and how it came to be. My outlook is that it must have been the work of the demons, a hex of sorts, but others are concerned that it might have to do with the earth itself. After all, those purple vines and all the food we eat grows in the same soil. Are we at risk of being similarly twisted? Perhaps this belief is a demon's trap. We must hold a strategy meeting tonight to figure out the next step to appease those losing their nerve. Evil is doubtlessly encroaching us. We failed. Half the group is gone. They came in the night. Demons with rare eyes, many eyes of whose. They wielded strange magic and distorted the surroundings to their liking. We turned against each other. We were overwhelmed, crushed. I don't know where things went wrong. Was it when we first found the beast, or was it something further back I'm not aware of? I just don't understand. Part of me tells me we never had a chance. Yes, I might think that after witnessing that overwhelming power, but I can't let it end like this. As soon as I can, I will turn to His Majesty and beg for another chance. This cursed land won't crush my spirit. A Scout's diary, huh? What year is this from? Some details in the diary seem incongruent with what I know, but what grabs my attention is a mention of multiple demons. Are there more Wankai's kind then? Hard to say. The Eye Valley was a much different place back then, assuming that this account is accurate. Even so, this is fascinating. Every few entries there is a new name, kingdom, a year, or lack thereof. Alongside a change in writing style, of the story is always similar. A group of foreign soldiers tasked with conquering the valley by a royal figure, only to meet a terrible fate at the demon's claws. These must have been written by the participants of many different expeditions, and some tales the demons turned the valley to a labyrinth, making them go in circles to the point of exhaustion before taking them out one by one. Others are more epic, describing demonic salmons decimating their numbers with magic. Interesting. There must be diaries that were nice priests copied across the ages. They really kept a close eye on everything that's happened in the valley. I skip ahead until I find a diary dating around 2 centuries back when the Dragon Kingdom still held this land. A4. Dawn. Remaining troops and supplies all accounted for. We're packing up and leaving camp at half before the quarter. Fourth before quarter, a soldier fell into a large pit hiding behind vegetation. We can't see the bottom. Chances of rescue are minimal. Scouts claim they haven't seen them when going ahead. Disciplinary measures will be decided at the dusk. Quarter. Rescue deemed impossible. We march on. Half before the pine, we stumbled upon what appears to be a dilapidated fortress surrounded by more of those massive pillars. The hazel leaf has made it difficult to find a way around. However, the fortress's gates carry that familiar symbol. We suspect we can open them with the weather. Seeing as the tremors were originating from this direction, we'll take a break to strategize. We'll depart by prime. Most of this diary is missing. Curious, but this sounds more like the valley I know. Let's skim the last few entries, checking only the kingdoms. There's no mention of the Lion Kingdom. I suppose it's natural, considering the demons were thought long gone by the time they conquered Wanai. I'll check the other books now. The second one's much thicker, by somebody named, say, a wolf, going from how they talk about Wanai. The volume seems like a compilation of creatures endemic to the Eye Valley. I see a couple of familiar words here and there, although scarce. There is some information about demons. One word catches my eye as I go through the index. Let's see. Demon Summons, page 62. This is one of the most dangerous demons one can find. Like other demons of a similar rank, they possess hooves and red eyes. They have circles of unknown origin on their skin. They also have a liking of wearing horns and fur to cover their heads. They also seem to possess shape-shifting abilities, being able to present themselves as whatever gender they desire. If you stumble upon one, it'll make you boil from the inside out until your eyeballs melt away. Just one. Reading this description, yearning immediately comes to mind. Mostly because of the detail of the circles. Perhaps he drew inspiration from these summons for his attire. That would track with the dancers dressing up similarly to Wanskai. Are those based on a specific demon too? This one, a Night Stalker. Night Stalkers are the closest to stereotypical demon. It will select its prey and invade their dreams, tempting to a deal. After this, the stalker will gain control of its prey and make it turn against their allies in the most unexpected moment. They are cunning, not so little friends. They only manifest at night, not as dangerous in battle as a summon, but don't underestimate it. This sounds like Ron's card, doesn't it? Let's see, there are some illustrations on the next page. My eyes immediately go wide. On the top, artistic depictions of Night Stalker temptation. It's written in a very matter-of-fact manner. Immediately below are multiple depictions of the aforementioned demons, fucking wolves of all genders, sizes, and shapes in multiple positions. It leaves little to the imagination. Every line, every stroke drawn with almost as much care as the demons are pouring into their so-called victims. It goes on for pages alongside what looks like instructions for a ritual. I'm too distracted to pay attention to that, though. And there I see it. There, blatantly drawn on top of the page in much rougher style, demon fucking what at first I thought was a fat wolf, but upon closer examination I realized what it actually is and my jaw drops. Under it is a message, "Tonight, Badger." When did this even happen? Did Wandsky sneak into the sack and add this to the book as soon as he was done with me last night? It's not surprising he knew I'd come here, but to think he figured I'd be with his book on top of being terrifying. I just know he'll make me look like a fool tonight over it, and then, just as these thoughts rushed through my head, I feel blood rush into my quads. Shit. Thankfully, by the time Kaka and Aaron come in with the food, I've claimed myself down. The police looks at the pile of books on the table. Do you read after all? Don't tell me you fell asleep. I did read. I was gathering my thoughts, is all. Did you at least check Sage's compendium? My heart almost jumps out of my throat as the old man picks up the book and starts flipping through it. What did he find Swansky's drawing? God, he might think I drew it. Oh yes, I did, absolutely. It was fascinating, fascinating. Now let's eat, I'm starving. Aaron shoots me a questioning look before closing the book and sitting down. None of us linger on that subject. Kagan's food commands us for an iron fist. What hits me first is that there's plenty, even if Orwell's food is good, if not great, he always portions it. There's just enough to push you through another day of hard work, but never enough to truly fool you. Not the case here. Whatever cut of meat Kagan brought was enough for a family of 4, maybe 5. I wouldn't say Kagan's cooking is better than Orwell's, but I prefer it nonetheless. There's something there I can't quite put my finger on. Did you hear Kagan? Old Adam finally passed away. Good for him. He looked like a stick in his last few days. As I always say, I hope I die quick and easy. Maybe I'll get crushed during a landslide, or I'll fall into a hole in the eye valley. Whatever happens, I don't want to wither away. Oh, don't talk like that, sir. Your mind is sharp and your body sturdy. You have many years ahead. Besides, you know, there aren't landslides here. That's a lie. Remember that caravan that got crushed by a boulder in the valley? The priest waits until laughter that promptly turns into coughing. He takes a single large gulp of water before raising an eyebrow my way. What's with that face? I almost choked trying to swallow the meat. But, like, what? Do you want more water, Hector? No, thank you. By the way, sir, didn't you say Adam's children have been visiting as of late? Well, his daughter had been. Adam didn't approve of her and her husband sleeping around with other people. Came here to talk my ear off about it every week. Terrible, let me tell you. Then one day she sold up in tears saying her daddy died. Her daddy died. Had to hold her until the tears ran out. He drags a hand along his face, exposing the red under his eyes. Ever since they opened that confessionary in the town of Swine, people got this idea that they can come here to yap about their problems. That's because you're kind, sir. Kiss my ass, Snowball. If it was only frustrated wise then maybe it wouldn't be so hard, but I've been getting all kinds of folks, you know. The other day, there was this guy. He had a crazy look. He was ready to kill. He calmed down after I let him borrow my pipe and my good herbs, though. A good smoke can solve many ills. It's not what I usually do, but it can be a legitimate medicine. God, loosen up a little. I'm asking if you've ever tried it. You work with herbs. I bet you must have gotten the cures a few times. Well, I've done it recreationally. I heard some herbs can help you relax when you smoke them. Body and mind let loose, and all the walls keeping the unseen, undesirable, and forgotten things fall down. The days of the plague, the piles of dead corpses outside the town limits, dead, delirious, and fevers, wasted away. And the day that followed, and all others since, hoping that it'll be the last of cursing life anew at every new dawn. We're living it all, unable to sleep, cold on my bed with my back to the wall, holding my head between my legs. Breathe in, Hector. It will pass. Don't try this again. It didn't really work out in my case. Heh. If that's what you like, you should try using hazel leaf. Sometime I'll gently carry you to Dreamland. Hazel leaf, are you pulling my leg? There's a process to it. The hazel leaf has to be grown in the right place. The leaves must be harvested at a specific time of the day. Then it has to be dried and aged. If prepared correctly, it has a mild hallucinogenic effect. Otherwise, it does very little. It can be therapeutic, and there are a few old rituals that use it. Kagan speaks from experience. Smoking much more common than I thought. It helps with the pain as well. Aaron taps his forehead, a dark grin cutting through his mouth. Kagan looks away. More so, if used as part of the rituals, the old wisdom was no less important than the aged herb. Snowball forgot to mention it's a salmon that must prepare the ceremony, thus determine how the hazel leaf will be used. Hector is a doctor, sir. Shamanistic rituals are a bit beyond his expertise. Doctors don't know shit. They care more about how long a bone is than the person it came from. Mono, he and his people don't care about the people they treat. They're just addicted to the high of the chase, of figuring out a disease, stopping it out, and being praised. I bet that's the only thing that gets this shriveled dick to blow. The euphoria from having someone's life in his hands, knowing he can twist their neck. Kagan looks at me, a look of concern plays on his face. Sir, you're going too far. No, it's fine. I take a sip of water, enough to moisten my throat. But you're mistaken. I don't think the Duke cares a great deal for the life of whoever's under his scalpel. Pray tell, what does he care about then? Before I arrived, my impression was that he was an academic, that his interest lied in pursuing knowledge. He saved many lives, but he thought of those as means to the end. After meeting him, he has big ambitions, wanted to finish Karina's work, but it almost feels like there's this desperation hiding underneath. It's not just knowledge he wants, but the recognition that comes with that massive achievement, to be seen on the same level or perhaps above his father. But Manuelino wants his own medical revolution, yeah? And he's trying to follow his putrid blister of a father's steps to get there. Tough luck. I only wish he'd get swallowed by the valets himself instead of making us pay the price of his stupidity. I can't see it ending well. Regardless, he thinks himself untouchable, but these situations never end well. Yes, they end with blades, men being made into cattle, and maybe a head or four or a pike. Aaron easily catches the meaning of it and nods. We see eye to eye there, Badger. It's the same because there's much to learn here in Wanai. Just yesterday I encountered Dust Viper Venom for the first time. I had to brew an elixir with only notes left behind by doctors of past generations of reverence. Who knows what else is out there in the valley we don't have a proper treatment for yet, if the Duke wasn't so absorbed in his legacy. Wait, Dust Viper? I hear he used that journal we donated to the hospital last year, sir. So it came from here. I still figure. Interesting. He came up with a cure. I wouldn't say I came up with it. I did notice some mistakes in the brewing technique used before, and I fixed those. I'm confident I can improve the formula. It won't be too hard. But mainly, I'm worried about how the poisoning manifests. From what I gathered, it can manifest in two ways, and the patient I treated showed the minor variety. I don't know how I go about treating the other kind. Kagan turns to the priest with a small smile. See, Dad? A very resourceful badger. Yunan's gaze is hard to read. A part of me expects skepticism, despite my friendship with Kagan and a medical affair. Why should he trust this doctor on the Lion's payroll? But that's not what I see in his eyes. The sharp gaze returns, picking me apart, though in an unfamiliar way. It's not that he doesn't believe me. No, he has the experience to know I'm serious, and yet he still seems on guard. Would you mind sharing that formula, Badger? Sure, if you don't mind it being a preliminary version. Against dust viper venom, even an imperfect solution is to be respected. He pulls a piece of parchment from himself and a quill from his loincloth and pushes his dishes aside to write it down. The formula is still fresh enough in my mind. Most of my attention and truth goes to describing the brewing procedure as clearly as I can. Ian lacks experience with brewing equipment. He's never made an elixir before, but he seems to be aware of his own shortcomings. Don't worry, there are others that can brew this. If there aren't, then I'll learn to do it myself. But even if I couldn't, this is knowledge we, people of Nine, should possess. Thank you, Badger. You're welcome, sir. I sit a little in place, smiling. I don't do this because I want recognition, but damn it, I'm allowed to feel good that my work made Kaga's dad respect me a little. I'm happy to help anyone really, but when I in particular. I have such fond memories of this place. Once again, Ian's gaze picks me apart. Learning the formula did not soften him much, but at least his fangs aren't sore anymore. It's time I answer questions. Were there any? Oh yes, I have forgotten. So the compendium mentioned these Simon demons. As in the diaries, I thought that was an interesting choice of words. Simons draw power from nature, and that goes hand in hand with the worship of God. It would not make sense for a demon, a being in opposition to God, to gain power from nature. If they did so, by definition they wouldn't be demons. I wonder why that name then. Ian's face doesn't change in the slightest, and yet there's the smallest stiff in his demeanor, this sudden stiffness. Whatever he's thinking, he's not letting it show. He looks up to Kagan. We can tell him. Ian sighs and turns back to me. You're a soft one. Yes, that's strange, isn't it? In fact, that is one reason I don't sell those tests to just anyone. You're lucky Kagan vouched for you. No? Well, the people of Nine are very open about the, let's say, demonic heritage of our land. Some tales are too taboo even for us, Hector. He takes a sip of his water. Tales that are better off buried in the depths, forgotten. And you're telling me this detail betrays us a tale? Aye. It's the first step down a dark path. Last time Manuelino called the Inquisition, I took extra care in hiding these books from them. I was worried they'd destroy them. You see, it's a tiny detail where most people won't pay any mind to, or will write off as a strange choice for a name. But it's meaningful enough that there was a risk. But what does it mean? The two wolves exchange another meaningful glance. Aaron then pushes his empty plate away and leans back, using one arm for support. Do you know what a dark god is? Or maybe you've heard the term hidden god instead. Dark god? Let me warn you. This is the kind of thing you can't tell the lions or anybody about, but especially the lions. If it reaches the wrong ears, either the Duke or the Inquisition will skin you alive and hang your body corpse by the town's interest, whoever gets to you first. Still want to hear it? It's too late to worry about crossing lines, isn't it? I'm not. Badger, let me ask you, what is this really? And as he asks this, he opens his arms as though calling attention to our surroundings, not the shrines walls, the town, the colony beyond, or even the continent of divinity. The miracles of nature are around us. Nature, right, the earth beneath our feet, in the air we breathe. Every stone that came to be part of a house or a fortress, every gentle kiss, and every bloodshed and plunder. Every little defect in our bodies, every single pleasure too, it all is of nature's design. No, it is nature making itself manifest. Why do we struggle for it? Not for the love of life. Even our bodies, some debate this, but if you're a man of the earth, do you know I'm telling the truth when I say nature is a living, breathing thing? A system. The words come out of their own accord, in nods. Exactly, the mother of all systems, God. And in it, we are nothing but the miserable little cubs clinging for sustenance, willing to kick our own siblings down if it means we can get just a little more. I ask you now, how do demons fit in this? From what I've heard, I guess they are an illness. Almost, but no, an illness implies an imbalance. But where does that imbalance come from when nature is perfect? No, a demon is something from outside the reach of nature itself. It is a venom that has found its way to our world, whose presence corrodes it. And our dark god is the snake that produced it. Their name, Satan, and all else has long been forgotten, buried who knows where but the Inquisition, hence the name of dark, a god in the dark, a hidden deity. This is hard to wrap my head around. Well, it is mind-boggling at first. Think of the valley, Hector. Why is it so different? Why does the air of the earth, everything feel off, so hostile? It's because it's the work of a different god, or system as you say, or that is incompatible with ours. Are demons the means through which these gods spread them? Sometimes yes, it depends on the dark god really. Some don't produce demons because they have a different way to spread. Even in a sea of abnormality, Renai's dark god is an odd one. Demons infested the Eye Valley once, yet they never went out of it, only reacting to trespassers. Maybe Renai's dark god just wants to be left alone, or maybe it's just a lazy god. The old man cackles as takes another gulp of water, and rubbing my chin, mulling over their words. If I understand this right, this dark god you speak about is still in the valley? Yes, right beneath our feet. It is imperative that slumber remain uninterrupted. The valley, its opulent bed, must not be disturbed. The Duke's so-called expeditions is dangerous all. Is Manuel aware? What about the Inquisition? They must know. Of course they know. How could they not? With all the legends. The Inquisition thinks the dark god has faded away along with the demons. But they're nothing more than dark knights. Take away their pristine armor, and all that's left is filth and shit, dregs and men. All they can do is mince demons to pieces. They couldn't detect the dark god if it stuck a tendril up their asses. And Manuel is mad. He doesn't care if his ambitions put him and everyone else in peril. If he found his coveted evidence that a demon's sabotaging his expedition, the situation will only become more dire. We'll be looking at an army marching into the Eye Valley, disturbing it further. You taught me an invaluable secret tonight, Badger, and the antidote to dust viper venom, even if imperfect, is no small thing. Yet this secret is greater still. I speak of it only because my son has placed his utmost trust in you. That is all I know. Dinner is over. After Kaikon collects the dishes, Aaron gets up, snapping a dozen bones back in place, and prepares his pipe. Are you going back to town, my son? I plan on staying, actually. I recall we were supposed to assess the stars, and I thought tonight would be appropriate. But that was before Hector told me he meant to visit, us to escort him back to town. If it's alright, we could do it another night. No, you don't have to do that. The path is clear. I can make it back on my own. Are you sure? It's fine. You don't have to worry about me. I'm a resourceful badger. There you are, indeed. Still, I can at least accompany you part of the way. The forest is tricky at night, and I know your eyes are as good as your nose. Not to mention who knows what lurks out there at night. You drive a hard bargain if I have no other choice. Alright, Dad, I'll be back shortly. You can go ahead and bring out the star maps. Yes, take care on the way back, Hector. Don't get kidnapped, eh? Likewise, it can't be safe living alone here. What do you know? It's not so bad. Outside, I glance at the swine one last time. I can hear it in and closing the windows. It all looks like a cold and lonely place. As I turn to look ahead, I catch just a foot from me the two wolf statues. From this angle, I see there is a third one behind them. It's a badger, and one carved in a far rougher style. He's smaller too, about half as tall as the wolves and plump. He's stretching out his arms, waiting for a hug that never came. But Kaika continues onward. I follow closely behind as to not trip or anything. As part of me wants to ask about the statues, but another is afraid of the answer. I settle on the easier questions. Kagan, yes, Hector? Why does Ian live here? I mean, at his age, it's concerning for him to live alone, so far away from everybody. I can't imagine that the swine's very homely during winter. It was very cozy when it was the two of us, but yes, I imagine it's much rougher now. Kagan slows down enough to walk by my side. Remember him complaining about people visiting him over trivialities? They do it on purpose to check on him. Well, I'll need to look into that angry man he said visited him. I like that not to repeat. Have you tried convincing him to move to town? I have, but it was useless. There was just so much bitterness. I seen it as soon as Aaron began talking about the townspeople. Whether they worry for him or not, the old priest wants as little to do with them. It's enough hatred for two people. I hope I'm not being nosy, but did something happen between Aaron and the town? Under the faint moonlight, I catch a glimpse of Kagan's ear flickering and his lips parting, forming words that never came out. Leopoldino banished him to the forest a decade ago. It was because he tried to rescue me when he took me to his mansion. Oh, of course he was only one man. It would not end well, but he tried, and I think that to this day he's still angry that nobody else tried with him. The wolf shakes his head. Knowing him, he must be asking himself, why are they trying to help him now, when they couldn't do the same for me? Kagan, what about you? He does not answer immediately. I cannot see his eyes on his face, but I count 3, 4, 5 steps before his lips part. I made peace with what happened. Besides, it wasn't that bad once you entered the picture. I smiled weakly at that second part, if only the first wasn't so hard to accept. Does Aaron feel the same way under the hateful visits? If so, I can't blame him. Aaron still hasn't let go. He could return now that Leopoldino is gone, but he doesn't want to. It's a difficult situation. You told me he was your midwife, and much more. He worked with my parents back at a big swine back in town and taught me a few things. So that's why he took you as an apprentice. I never noticed you descended from a line priest. The wolf looks at the palm of his hand. It's a saying it didn't work out. I just didn't have the talent to use magic the way he and my parents did. I can't do more than basic search. That and the priest's duties swung when Leopoldino began selling his earth helpers. He figured it would be best for me to find something else to do with my life. I remember Oblon's summons objecting to buying the earth helpers, saying they didn't trust him with protecting the crops. I think they just didn't want to be replaced, but we didn't have a choice. It feels like those things just made everything worse, but everybody's using them, so it's hard to make a living out of agriculture without them. And replace the copper parts cost a fortune in the long run. God, yes. Then from behind the trees, the lights will not appear. I keep walking, but Kagan's footsteps go silent. I turn back. The wolf is still looking down at his hands. his fingers move in rough, sudden jerks. It takes me a second to understand he's trying to touch his fingers with his thumbs and failing horribly. Is everything alright? He looks up from his fingers, his eyes shine, reflecting all of what eyes fired back at me. There's a dream I have every once in a while, one where Mom and Dad never went away and I was never taken to the mansion. Aaron is there too. I live in the town swine. He's teaching me the old ways. I know how to use magic. My hands work. I blink. How did the topic change so quickly? But I can't help but follow along. Really? And what else? And you're there. You look a bit different. You're taller. But I know it's you. No matter how the details change between dreams, I can always tell it's you. Sometimes we've known each other for years. You have the exact belt buckle you've been visiting for most of your life. The blacksmith is with you often. Sometimes I see you as if it was for the first time, coming in through the swan's sunlit door. It's dark inside, and I can barely see your face, but I know it's just no. Kagan, you're always so serious, but we still behave like rascals at times, going on adventures, playing pranks. I laugh. I feel a burst of warmth in my chest when we walk together. We like to wrestle. I play my pranks on you often, and you want more. Sometimes by the river, we undress, and he stares at the palm of his hand before clutching it into his fist. And he looks up at me. There's been times when I'm looking at you. I remember all that, and it makes me want to cry, but I can't. All I feel is a mist in my eyes, and I can't. Alongside those words comes out a sniff, not from him. It's me that's starting to tear up. Why? I keep thinking about how different everything could have been, but that's just not me. That's another Kagan, one that still remember what it's like to feel warm inside. What if one day I held you, just like I dreamed, but felt nothing? If I throw myself at him, wrapping the wolf up in a tight embrace. Kagan raises his arms in shock, but stays still as the silence of the night envelops us. In that beautiful dark, surrounded by the woods, and so distant from one eye's flames, his arms pull me close, his claws dig into my clothes. Down to my fur and skin, it does not hurt. By God, it could never hurt. And there in his chest, I feel an incredible burning warmth, more passionate than the festival's flames. I don't know what changed, Kagan, but it's alright. You're still Kagan, my Kagan, please. But is he feeling the same thing as you, Hector? Look up to his eyes. Is he in this same bliss, or are they wide open in horror at what he's become? But I'm too afraid to look, too used to every bit of good in the world being snuffed out. If I do it, I might lose this moment too. I wish we could just stay like this forever. And that's when I feel Kagan's now on top of my head. His chest deflates under my embrace. He breathes out, and I hear a sniffle as his rough-knuckled fingers curl tighter on my clothes. God, his chest, never have I felt such warmth. But it cannot last forever. No matter how much I pray and beg God, his fingers let go of me. My arms lower, and so must mine. We disentangle, take a step back, and it's as if that moment of magic lives on only in memory. In all that darkness, I can't see his face anymore. Good night, Hector. Thank you. Good night, Kagan. Stay safe out there. You too. He turns around and makes his way to the shrine. I stand there for a moment before I walk off, not to Orbo's nest, but to the forest, to the river. I will call the demon's message. Tonight, Badger. Did I make the right choice? Just as things are getting better with Kagan, not a demon. What did I do? The stars fall and fall, slipping from between the fingers, rejoining the stream below. I hold them in my cupped hands and splash the starry sky all over my face. This river is one of the few things that has changed little in these 9 years. Back then, the water reached my navel, and that's all. It's a familiar, relaxing place. I pick up another handful and throw it under my armpit. I scrub and scrub before reaching underwater and wiggling my fingers between my thighs behind my balls. A shiver goes up my spine. It's not out of excitement, but because of the breeze making the humidity all over my fur rigid. This is as easy as the demon made it out to be. It gets my hands lingering around where Kagan hurt me. It was nice, but filled with so much uncertainty. Even if Kagan was so completely turned around, could he give me the companionship and love I want? He himself doesn't seem sure about it. If only I could know it for certain, the choice would be so much easier. And Wanskai, he's an evil spirit, yes. He might be manipulating me, but he can give me what I need. He can make all the pain and loneliness go away. I look at my shadow in the water, thinking how selfish this all is. It's true, you're a selfish and self-centered brat, playing around with a demonic entity beyond your understanding. You're a burn Hector. Said it, don't get me started again. Kanka is not some object without emotions and needs of his own. I met his adopted father. I saw how he lived. More than ever, I should know better than to think of him without compassion. But it is the truth. I'm alone, desperate, broken. I need someone, anyone. Once upon a time, Kanka filled this gap in me. Now it's one's Kai. That's all. That's all. After a few more minutes, I figure it's enough, and I return to the riverbank. First, I look at my clothes on the ground before raising my gaze to the forest. I could draw up using a brush as usual, but I have another idea. I grab a thin branch and snap it before looking for a grassless spot of dirt. Let's see, that rune Kagan drew looked like this. I tilt my head squinting at the rune. The circle part doesn't look too good. I kick some more dirt on top of it before trying again, hurried along by the gentle but unrelenting wind. Not perfect, but it's close enough. All it needs is some magic now. I toss the stick aside and crouch, resting my hand on the circle. The tip of my fingers glow, and the circle's then the circle filled with an orange light. But something's different. Little by little, the warmth turns into an almost searing heat. I instinctively move my hand away, expecting the rune to lose its magic, but it keeps glowing, though slowly losing heat. Strange, it's my first time casting this rune. I didn't even perfectly replicate it, and I only poured a drop of magic to it, and yet the effect is overwhelming. When Kakan used it, he had to be in constant contact with it too, and it didn't come nearly this hot. Why is it working differently? He mentioned lacking magical talent. Maybe that's the explanation, having more limited skills. This simple rune demanded a greater focus to cast, only to display weaker results. But then I recall his twitching thumb, trying to reach the tip of his fingers. This isn't the first time you've seen it, Hector. Back in Oban, when Mr. Edgar injured his hands in that wood-cutting accident. He couldn't hold a plow afterwards, and neither could he cast magic, not even to light up a prismarium. It was one of the first lessons Dad taught you. See that no harm comes to your hands, for they're your greatest tool. The issue wasn't the rune being misshapen, it had to be his. The thought is cut short by a sharp breeze. Huddling up, I sit on top of the rune, and the warmth flows into me. It's not searing me anymore. Now that I'm not pouring more energy into it, a ripple goes through my body, ending in a blissful sigh. It feels so good. I continue rubbing my arms and body, squeezing the humidity off my fur. What remains is slowly but surely dried by the rune. Well, well. You just couldn't wait, could you? As though I just noticed a spider crawling on my back, my entire body tenses up at once and the gas jumps out of my throat. I turn around, searching for red and purple in the darkness. The demon is leaning against a tree, arms crossed, with a lecherous look in his eyes. He's enjoying the view, taking every detail in, and his loincloth is strained, trying to contain his excitement. No doubt he's been there for much longer than I imagined. One's kind. Today, I was thinking, what would you do once we met tonight, knowing full well what's to come? To be honest, I thought you'd keep playing the part of the scared animal. But to think you seek me in the woods, that you prepare yourself for our deal's consummation. He steps closer, a wild smile spreading across his face, and paralyzed, 1,000 ideas running through my mind about what he's about to do to me. His razor-sharp claws reach out to me and lash around my nape as he strokes my head with such lift he forces me to look at his hooves. Such an obedient little morsel. I knew you wouldn't disappoint me. I could partake in you right here and now, but... He looks around us and shakes his head. No, this will not do. No, why not? I hope that didn't come out as desperate as I think it did. This is a special occasion, Badger. We need an adequate size embracing by the river and trusted themselves to the other for the first time, with only the moon as witness. Maybe that would be fitting for most couples, but not for us. He owns me now, and he wants to drive that point home. The demon backs away, and with a playful grin, picks up my clothes. Hey. Come along now, Hector. I know just a place. It's just down the river. I chase after the demon, doing my best to avoid the occasional pebble on the riverbank. It's almost funny. I never have expected my return to Renai to take such an absurd direction, yet here I am. Running naked in the middle of the woods, the torn-up grass left behind in my wake, the wind between my ears, is almost enough to make one feel young again. Though I'm quickly losing sight of one sky. Wait! I search for his glow in the dark, but to no avail. My jog slows down, 2 wary steps as I walk up to a large lake, the river source, apparently. And beside the river, dilapidated, yet still standing tall, is a ruin. It's nothing like the ones I've seen so far, a collection of mounds and towering stones closing inwards, as though grasping from the lake. As I get closer, I see a series of rectangular stones lined up in front of the large structure, as though to complete the circle. Rain has worn their corners and edges down, somewhat chipped, a few outright broken. Just about the height these are seats, this must be an amphitheater, built by the same people who left the ruins in the valley. Not much grass is growing around here. Either somebody takes care of this place or it gets visitors every once in a while. One's kind must be nearby. I smell him. Hello? Beyond the amphitheater, there is only endless darkness. My gaze returns to the stones, and out of the corner of my eye, I get a pink glow. My first thought is that it's a demon, but no. There's a single glowing circle in the far end of the pillar. Little by little, the glow spreads as more wounds appear on it before it spreads to the others. And then the devil of one eye finally appears before me. Welcome, Badger, to one of one eye's many holy sites. Holy? Indeed. Long time ago, there was a place far worlds from me, your nature. He points at me with an exaggerated gesture, and then slowly at his own chest and my eye. You mean the pages upon pages of demons and mortals, with their arms, legs, and tongues intertwined in an unholy union of what is meant to be and what is not. I wonder if they were all as foolish as me, so desperate for warmth that they accepted from even a demon. If it pushes you to the brink of despair, was there really an alternative? This is the world we live in, the one that took Dad away and kept Kagan and I apart for 9 years. Cursing is cruelty. I'm a man. I have a heart. It cannot be that I was born only to suffer, grieve, and be a tool for the sake of others. Maybe they saw it too. Those people in the book must have reached the same conclusion and forsaken it all as well. No, you're just trying to justify your terrible decision, Hector. Surely you caught a hint of it when you were snooping around, which reminds me, do you enjoy my art? In the blink of an eye, Runsky, the sly saddle that he is, slips behind my back. I feel his hands on my belly, and my mind goes blank as his loincloth presses against my tail. What about a reenactment? Softly, he plants a kiss on my back, firing silvers all over my body. I instinctively try to move away, but he holds me in place, and I'm nothing but grateful for that. God, something that feels so right cannot possibly be wrong. His claws simply dig into my sides, makes me squirm. His kiss sets my nerves ablaze. His affection chips away at my barriers, saving me. Skitters, aren't you? From those words alone, I can hear the smile on his lips amidst the burning desire. There's something almost playful in him. I'm not used to this. It's not just his claws, even his fingertips feel like daggers on my naked belly and sides regardless of my desires. After idling for a moment, the demon chuckles and his grasp becomes loose. This is all right. We'll get you used to this in time. But for now, why don't we discuss our contract? Contract? Didn't I already accept your deal? I could do as I like with your soul now, mortal. But where's the fun in that? Despite all my banter, I find thralls to be rather dull as toys. I have a plan to spice things up for the both of us. The mural glows, reacting to the demon's words, as though an imperceptible stenographer is writing them down. With a last caress to my cheek, Runsky walks towards the ruin and faces me. It looks like the villain in a play. The deal grants you 3 nights. But first, let's talk about your safe word. Safe word? Do you mean the fading spell? Yes, that is the magic known as a safe word, Hector, and it can take many other safes in case the caster can't speak to. 3 taps on the shoulder, for instance, whatever we agree on. Which brings us to your first right, a concubine. That is you. Can initiate negotiations regarding the safe words at the face of such an event. An agreement must be reached before any act of sexual nature may take place. It's strictly forbidden for the concubine to deliberately bring harm upon the keeper, that's me, using the safe word. So let's say, for instance, that I gag you with my loincloth, or that I'm sitting on your face, covering your snout with my scent. Of course, if you do that, could I tap you 3 times and make you stop? Exactly. Let's negotiate after we go over your other rights. He clears his throat. Second, the keeper shall not bring non-consensual harm upon the concubine. If I'm to bite you, claw you up, or whip you until it draws blood, I need your explicit permission. And you must have the courage of the desperate burning desire to bring forth the idea first. That I don't think I'm ready for any of that. Aren't you lucky? A crueler demon will carve you into a meatball on a whim, then heal you to do it all over again. Third, the keeper has the responsibility to keep the concubine safe. In the event he trespasses to the Iron Valley, the concubine must obey the keeper's commands in such situations. This is out of curiosity. What happens if I don't? I cannot guarantee your safety if you deliberately disobey me. Whatever happens, it'll be your responsibility. Does he realize what he's saying? No, he most certainly does. About my first right, there's nearly no restriction on what situations I can use the safe word in. If I wish to, I could forbid him from touching a single hair on me. Even now, he's offering me a choice. And he knows how to play right into his hands. Are you sure that you want this, Hector? We can still back out. Think about Kagan. The deeper you go, the larger the wedge the demon drives between you. What wedge? Come on. Weren't you the one telling me to forget about him? That I'd find him with horror in his eyes while we hunt? You're the one trying to starve my soul. You won't ever let me enjoy life or love anyone, and until I work myself to an early grave, you'll never be satisfied. Listen to me, damn it. How would Kagan feel if he learned that you've been laying with a monster, that you sold your soul away? What would Dad think? He's a demon, an affront to nature, and an insult to God. He's all I have. Even Kagan, even if we had a moment tonight, I can't be sure where it'll go. Not even he can tell. Stop using Kagan to confuse me. And Dad, he doesn't think about anything anymore. Let him be. I'm pulled out of my skull by the mind of the demon's chuckle. His smile has gained an empress edge. Now taking his eyes off of me for a moment, he undoes his belt and loincloth, tosses them aside. The rest of his attire follows soon after. Well now, let me introduce you to this land's old customs. I open my mouth, but all I can produce is an almost inaudible whimper. The devil notices my trepidation, and so he starts with a simple, almost innocent gesture, taking my hand firmly, yet so tenderly. He places it on his shoulder and looks me in the eye, hungry and reassuring. Everything that ails me, he will devour. But he won't stop there, won't he? Not until he has consumed all of me. His warmth spreads from the palm of my hand through my entire body, cleansing me from my doubts and shielding me from the cold that has stalked me since my return. And then it crosses my mind. If I could throw myself at this fire, let it turn me into embers, that would feel so right. The smell of blooming flowers washes over my nerves, calming them down with its sweet touch, though not completely. There's nothing ominous about the spirit grinning down at me. This warmth, the scent of 1,000 springs away, his fingers caress me. It feels right and sacred. Ready. His tone carries a warning. There's no coming back from this. Even so, I throw myself into his arms and hug him tight, like reuniting with a long-lost lover, craving for his venom as though it's honey. However, though, I'm more than willing. My body betrays my inexperience. It's difficult not to shy away from his touch. Each caress threatens to crush me. I will slice my skin open and dig into the flesh underneath. When his fingers slip under my tail, my body refuses to let him in despite my desire. So I just... I'm at a loss for words. The demon is resting his chin on my shoulder, breathing steadily. Don't fret, Hector. We have all night long. Suddenly, I perk up and look behind me. My bag, where's my bag? The demon points to one of the stone benches. I know it was vacant when I just arrived here, but once I left my clothes there at some point. I go dig through them and return with a small flask in my hand. I had time to brew this at the hospital today. I figured it might help. I curse a blessing of having rich clients or the strange requests they make every once in a while, the things nobody else has the money or even courage to ask for. For example, an elixir to facilitate Lord's exertions. It took me a few nights to figure out a recipe and a few hours this afternoon to make it with the herbs available at 9. The demon gives me an amused look. Look at you, Mr. Good Doctor. You thought of everything, didn't you? I stopped before uncorking the bottle and drinking it. I'm struck by a sudden fuzziness. The one underside of my fingers is almost as though there's a piece of fabric between them. In fact, my entire body feels heavier, like it's been covered with a blanket. Oh, so this is how it feels. I get one sky and there was chuckle. I know this works. I just need a moment to adjust. Very well. In the meantime, one sky walks to the bench where he puts my clothes. He drops my belt bag on the ground next to it and sits down, striking a pose with his legs open. Come here and show me your devotion. I kneel down. I kneel between the demon's thighs, wordlessly staring at his crotch. The tip of his is leaking, and trail running down his in balls, and God, his balls are huge. His set has always been intense, but from this up close, it clouds my mind. My shoulders bob up and down with my breath as it brushes against Ron Sky's crotch. Time slows down to a crawl. I can't hear anything but myself or sense anything but what's right in front of me, and the eyes watching from above. This I'm starting to believe time's come to a stop. The devil brings his hand on top of my head, and his claws graze my skin. He pushes me against the brush of his crotch, and I inhale as though trying to fill my clouded mouth with his essence, and then instinct takes over. Every break I take is greedy, and every stroke of my I don't know if I'm doing a good job, but once Kai seems to like it, judging by his expanding. That's a good boy. And my friends that take him and the taste and salty and clear from the fat drop of. Okay. I hesitate, expecting or hoping that he grabs my head to push me down. Then on my own sake, my head is slicing smoothly. The underside of his pushes my tongue down, and I strain to open my mouth wider to take a minute. My mouth feels so full, I'm not even halfway in, just as the crab spreads in my tongue. Stay right there, Hector. Become familiar with my body. His voice comes out as a satisfied growl. With this command, I feel my straining, lurching, even leaking. It feels good. Perfect even. Heavens, I'm doing all right. I am pleasing him. I close my eyes and focus on the present, the way his manhood pulses against with each heartbeat, the salty taste coating my tongue as he continues to pump more the wild, untamed scent wafting from his bust and sack. One Sky's foot brushes against my heart, licking hard on the snickers. I knew you would enjoy it. This is where you belong, what you were born for. I can see your true self, Hector. There's no need to hide. Belonging in truth. Goodness, he's right. No, he isn't. He's trying to get inside your. This is what I want. It's true. I'm not having to think all the time about life and death, living each day as its own, but that will live into plague every time my mind wanders. Being able to let my guard down and enjoy a moment of free desire. I want and need more. I push myself to take more of his. There's nothing I want more than grinding my nose against his throbbing thing. But I go too far. My jaw cramps and I almost choke. My trance ends and suddenly aware. I put my hands on his thighs and stuff, pushing myself away from his. I have expected him to hold me down and resist by pulling back, but that's not the case. I need a moment. Once Sky looks down at me, his chest rising and falling to fire his eyes as well. He's barely holding back an impulse to grab my hand and stuff himself down my throat. I better make this break really brief. I drop myself closer, taking his mask of his in my hands. I don't think I can fit this in my mouth, not yet at least. Instead, I draw my tongue along the tip and the sides, remembering him in the river last night. I take his knot too and squeeze little by little until it elicits a moan from him. Chuckling, he grabs mine and wraps me on the cheek with it. You look much better like this, Hector, without all that pretense, and how quickly you threw it out, too. He keeps rubbing himself against me, smearing his all over my face. I try not to whimper, but I can't stop it. I see myself reflected in his eyes, my fur disheveled and stained with his emissions. Then he drops it on the bridge of my nose, and I feel a spark of desire. Don't forget to worship all of me. Guessing his meaning, I lean forward, resting my nose on a nook between his. I took a breath, and I'm back at it again, trying to take his in my mouth. Once Kai opens his legs and pushes his further outwards, admiring how easily I fell under his spell. That nose of yours is really sensitive. You were such a nervous wreck moments ago, but look at you now. Should have figured. I'm not looking absorbed in my task as I am, but I know he's grinning from ear to ear now. I could keep doing this until I forget myself and everything around me, until one is all that occupies my mind, occupies my head anymore. But if I wanted to, I could take it even further. I don't know if one guy's body works precisely as a wolf's. Maybe this form is cosmetic rather than functional, but assuming it does, I need to be the one to bring it up, have the courage to ask for it. After all my willpower, I part with the demon's balls and look him in the eye. His thing throbbing is my cheek. One sky, let me win you. Is what I try to say, only for a low mumble to come out in its place. The demon raises an eyebrow. What is it? How do I say this? Look away, oddly stroking him. You see, wolves have these glands, and he blinks. It takes a second for his face to contort into a maddening laughter, all while his winds against my cheek and stains my fur. But a great lake, I still know you'd be this needy for my sin. Ah, Badger, you really should give up on your dark fantasy and just become my living wag. My cheeks are burning. God, I've never been so humiliated and hard in my life. He places a hoof on my shoulder and pushes me back and landed my back on the ground. Enough joking around. Normally I make you work harder for it, but you were such a good bitch preparing for the night that I feel obliged to make an exception. Before I can process what's happening, the demon is already standing above me, his hooves clopping my ears. In less than a second, his rear is completely engulfed in my vision. As soon as my nose comes into contact with his sweaty taint, my body moves on its own. I breathe in as though I'm drowning, and my tongue explores him as though drinking from an oasis. It doesn't take long to find his hole, nor to press my nose against it. The following moments are a blur. The fragrance of thousands of spring fill me. It takes root deep in my nerves, and then I feel it rousing every receptor in my body. The drive to spread the splitting self, the seedling that falls onto the earth, the pulse of life. A powerful desire takes over me like a storm. I'm looking at the world from the depths of a raging purple sea. At this point, there's no doubt, no thought, and certainly no me. I burn my tongue inside the demon as far as I can in hopes of somehow sinking even deeper into the primal feeling, and I do get what I want, more of this precious impulse. Suddenly the sea rumbles, the sky lights up, and my entire body trembles, fingers digging deep into the demon's thighs. And just when I think this is the end, that every nerve is burning to a crisp, and my body is about to be flattened by the pressure, it stops. When I come to, I'm splayed on the ground, one sky staring down at me with a smug smile. He's talking, but I can't quite guess what he's saying. He's pointing at me, or at my belly rather, my abdomen, across so I come strength's mess. God, did all that come out of me? That was out of this world, huh? I can still taste and smell him. My heart drums in my chest, recalling what just happened. I already suspected his scent wasn't normal, but to think it would be this so intense and that it would awaken something so prominent in me. However, the demon isn't quite done with me. He crawls on top of my entire body, his rubbing against mine. One sky, It was just adorable, Hector. He placed a kiss on my neck and then on my cheek, as the breeze did the night of the leaf budding festival. His hand takes mine, like the forest roots gently wrapping around my fingers. His silhouette is as large as the town itself, and for an instant I'm afraid it might crush me with her when eyes full of weight. It's almost amazing I can wrap my arms around him and cling to his back. I'll surround myself at the same time as he lies next to me and takes hold of my leg, making me raise it, as though everything is an extension of him. At the mercy of such a great power, all I can do is wait with bated breath as he lines up his thing with my entrance. His free hand rests on my torso claws, tracing electrified paths on my skin and fur. Good boy, relax under my grasp. This is how things should be. It's true, never have things felt so right in my life. I breathe in, trying to relax, and the wildness of his scent all over my face drowns my senses. Goodness, I feel as though I should give myself to him entirely. He cared for me. He'd tell me I am enough. He'd protect me against this accursed world. I can let go. Honest Sky, please. My entire body shivers. My nerves go wild. It's as if the elixir's effects increase twofold. And then his steps in. The discomfort lasts only a second. What pain or familiarity could affect me? The elixir, my firing nerves make sure to drown. And all that remains is a desire to take him in, to be his. That's it. You're all mine, Hector. His honeyed tongue so close to my ear, on the height of my knee, he thrusts for the first time, hitting me deeper, and that only soothes me. The way he holds me, his attention, the need behind his movements, I'm powerless before him. Yet it feels as though I'm at the center of this little world composed by an eye and the eye valley. I'm yours, wise guy. His whole body heats up in an all-enveloping frenzy. His claws sink on my skin and set my nose ablaze. If his voice gains a new inflection, mine, by the eye you are. For a moment, it's almost as if his words quivered with emotion, but there was two, and that only made my fire burn brighter. Ravish me, One Sky. Please show me my place. By now his hips are a flurry of thrust. His glides inside me and scrambles my senses quicker than I can recompose myself. Suddenly my ear radiates with pleasure, more intense and uncontrollable kind that I've ever felt. I utter his name over and over again between moans, goaded the demon to picking up the pace. He rouses me without pretense, no consideration for a toy like me doesn't need either. All I want is the sound of his thing smacking my buttocks, him panting on my ear and knowing that he wants me. Even if I wasn't in the middle of this maddening pleasure, I still want this more than anything else. Just the knowledge that he desires me so much is enough to make it all worth it. One Sky's grip tightens as he thrusts one last time. His knot grinds against my thing, trying to burn myself, but my body does not give, and no matter how much I need it to. Regardless, I feel as his heat suits inside me, all his passion and want, I take it all. I'm claimed. I feel like I'm about to catch on fire as my second orgasm arrives. It's dry and anticlimactic, nothing compared to the overflowing stuff One Sky rewards me with. But it's still better than anything I've ever experienced or touched myself. Got it. One Sky's focus still laying claim to my body, but even then, he has the wit to fire back. Indeed, I'm your guard now, Hector. He rubs his hand over my stomach. I swear he might be filling up the bowls from his own. You're mine. or not exhales, whilst the top of the tweets Wankai exhales. Wanai exhales, whistling the top of the tweets. Wankai exhales, resting his head on the nook of my neck, squeezing me tight against his chest. I lie there with Wankai. I don't know for how long, hearing this in Wanai's breath, feeling the blood pump in his heart, and the veins and arteries under the earth. Last thing I remember is turning around to meet the demon's eyes and his breath on my nose. The desire there was like a bottomless pit. His lips parted so slightly with temptation, yet thank you for playing Devil's Gambit. We hope you had a great time. If you enjoyed the game, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Patrons will get access to the latest builds a month before they go public on itch.io. We'll get a free key to the game once it's complete and released. The higher tiers will receive other benefits like access to work in progress, art streams, and more. Supporting us would help a lot, as it would allow us to really focus on delivering the best experience possible. If you enjoyed the game but can't support us on Patreon, please consider leaving a 5-star rating on it and following our socials. You will find the links on the start screen now, so make sure to check them out. That's all for now. Hopefully you're looking forward to the next build. We know we are. Until later. So apparently, Hector had to make the real deal, which is the contract. So, guess you can say it's official now. About Kagan, I think he went through a similar experience with Hector. I think he sold himself to the devil himself also, and I think by doing so, Wankai gave Kagan what I think he desired, because he was sick and he was pretty small. So the demon gave him health. He gave him a strong muscular body. He also altered his personality. I don't know if the snarky, arrogant Kagan requested that he have his personality changed or not, but I believe he wanted to be healthier and stronger. So the demon granted him his wish. Now, I don't know if Kagan may have participated in the sexual stuff that Hector just did, but I think Kagan also made a deal with Wankai, unbeknownst to Hector, because Hector thinks that Kagan would be ashamed of him, make a deal with the devil. But I'm not sure if Kagan actually made a deal with the devil or not. Maybe he really did go through a major growth spurt and his personality changed. I don't know, maybe he saw some things happen that gave him a new outlook on stuff and he became much nicer. But Kagan still remembers the days he and Hector would go out to the river and, just be intimate with each other, and he still remembers him doing pranks on others and Hector himself. So, yeah, he changed as a person, but he still remembers his old self. And that he would have dreams where, in an alternative life, he and Hector grew up as friends for years, and that Calgon's parents never left because they were priests, and it's an alternative that Calgon seems to be very happy about and really enjoys. I don't know if that was the work of Kai himself, these dreams. Maybe, maybe not, but. So we got to meet the man that took care of Calgon, and he didn't seem to like Hector all that much. Though once Hector gave him the recipe for the medicine he cocked up from the research he did, that's when the priest that took care of Calgon, that's when he decided to respect Hector a little bit more now. So, and about Kai himself, I don't necessarily think he loves Hector. I think he's using him, but instead of, I think love and intimacy and togetherness are like two totally new feelings and concepts for him. So after him exploring everything else for hundreds of years, which deals with terrorizing others, and I don't know what exactly other stuff he's been doing. Like, I don't know if he terrorized others, or maybe he's just somebody who, I don't know, but I guess intimacy and comparison are two new things that he hasn't tried out. He's tried everything else, but so he decided to try this out. That doesn't mean he loves Hector. I don't think he does. I think he's just using Hector for himself, and that I think once he gets tired of Hector and had enough of him, he'll either get rid of him or maybe even eliminate him. That's what I think. Anyway. So, that's all for now. Thank you all very, very much for watching. And this ambulance siren is really annoying. Live in a noisy area here. So anyway, thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.